Hey guys. Okay, so I'm going to try to be really quick because I've tried to film this twice and different things have gone wrong. So I'm going to try to be very quick about this. Hopefully you guys see this because I've had trouble uploading recently. But this is going to be about my top 5 favorite authors. So let's get started. Okay, my first is Neil Gaiman. He is my most recent favorite author. I discovered him last year. I've read this one, which is Ocean at the End of the Lane, and Fortunately the Milk, which also came out last year, and Instructions, which was a picture book that he did way back in like 2000, and I've listened to the audiobook of Stardust, which was a really cool experience because he was the one who narrated it, and having an author read their own words is just great to me because they know what they meant when they wrote something specific. And they know, like, the inflections that they want to use when they're reading their own words. Instead of actors kind of, like, doing their own thing with it, which is fine. I have other audiobooks that actors do instead of the authors, and those are great. But I just really enjoyed this, that Neil Gaiman actually read it. And also, I'm not gonna lie, Neil Gaiman has one of the most amazing voices. Like, I could listen to his voice all day. Like, I could just fall asleep to one of his audiobooks, because I think his voice is so great. But his writing is just amazing. The language that he uses is beautiful, and his descriptions are just amazing. And the things that he goes into descriptions about, like in this one, he has a lot of descriptions in here about food, which it's just awesome. It's so cool because you're just like, oh man, it makes you feel like you're in the room with the characters, like getting ready to eat the food. Or I don't know if that sounds weird, but he's so good at making it so realistic. And he's very good at, like, making you get lost in the story. And very few authors have done that for me. Very few authors have, like, actually taken me out of my own world. Which, that's what books are supposed to do, so it's kind of bad that I don't have that many authors who can actually completely make me forget where I am. And he's one of the ones that does that for me. And his writing is just very comforting. Like, I know that sounds weird, but, yeah, his writing is fantastic, and I highly recommend. Next we have, my favorite classic author, and that is Miss Jane Austen. This is Sense and Sensibility, which, as you guys know, is my favorite book, tied with Room with a View by E.M. Forster, but I have only read the one by E.M. Forster, so I couldn't include him on this list. But Jane Austen is amazing. I've read her 6 major works, and I actually, I keep needing to get the bind-up of Lady Susan, the Watsons, and Sanditon, because I really want more of her stuff. And I think her wit is fantastic. I think her detail is great, though sometimes little over the top with the detail, but that's okay. Her characters are amazing. I think that all of her themes are really relevant to today, which is one of the main arguments about Jane Austen, is, like, people who love her, I feel like think that her writing, her themes are, like, relevant to today. Like, all of her messages and the things she's trying to talk about and say are relevant to today, but a lot of people are like, oh no, like, I tried to read her in high school and I didn't think her books, like, had anything to do with what was going on now. Yeah, and that's the main debate, and I'm definitely on the side of, I think her writing, like, her writing is definitely dated, but her messages and the things she's trying to get across to her audience are 100% relevant to today. And I really wish that more people, especially men, would give her a chance. Because I do feel like her characters are very relatable. And like her guy characters too. And also in this, there's a sword fight. Come on. What guy wouldn't like to read about a sword fight? It's fantastic. And what I love is that she's very subtle in a lot of her things. Like, there's some stuff that she talks about where if you blink, you'd miss it. Which I think is really fun. I think it's really cool that you kind of have to read some of her stuff over and over again to really understand some of the stuff that is going on. I think that's great. But that could be why some people have issues with her. I don't know. Okay, next we have Cecelia Ahern. I was going to say Cecelia Ahern by P.S. I Love You, but no, Cecelia Ahern, and this is P.S. I Love You by her. This book has every emotion that you could possibly want to get out of a book. It has everything you would possibly want or need in a book, and it's about a guy, or a couple, but the guy dies of cancer at the very beginning, and it's on the back, so I'm not ruining anything for you people. But she wrote this when she was 21 years old, and to be able to write that kind of intense, deep storyline about love and loss at that age and pull it off, to me, was amazing. And all of the characters that are in here are like in their 30s, and she was 21 writing about 30-year-olds. And I think it's quite easy for authors to write about younger people because they've already gone through that stage of their lives. But writing about characters who are going through a stage in their life that you haven't gone through yet, to me, getting that right is very difficult, and she did it beautifully. And all of her other books are just so, they're so good. Her messages that she tries to send to her audiences are just so deep and beautiful and meaningful, and I love her. She's fantastic. Go pick up her stuff. And then we have Miss Maureen Johnson. This is 13 Little Blue Envelopes. She has been one of my favorite authors since high school. This is my first book that I read by her. I read it right before I was going on a trip. I was looking for a book about, a fictional book about travel, and this is a fictional book about travel. And I read this every time I go on a plane trip somewhere, because it's beautiful and fantastic. I don't really know how to explain why I love her writing. I just feel like she has a very beautiful voice as an author, and I feel like her characters are incredibly relatable, especially because most of her characters are teenage girls, and I started reading this when I was a teenage girl. And also, I think her books are even fun for guys to read, because even though most of her main characters are girls, or maybe all of them are girls, she has a lot of guys as side characters, and I feel like they are very real and relatable as well. So, yeah, I love her stuff, and Name of the Star is fantastic. That is my other favorite book by her, and it just has everything that I love in it. It has London, it has history, it has Jack the Ripper, it has boarding school, it has ghosts. It's great. It's fantastic. So, yeah, her writing is great. I highly recommend you pick up anything by her. And yeah, okay. Last one is As You Like It well, okay, well, I'm gonna be honest here and say I did not like his stuff much in high school, but that's because the only things I read by him in high school were Romeo and Juliet, and I am one of the few Shakespeare fans who does not like that play. Didn't like it. Thought it was ridiculous a little bit. Um, just a little bit. Sorry, no offense if you like it. I'm sorry. Um, but and also Julius Caesar I read. And I did like that one more because I really like the history behind it. But I don't know, his histories to me are great because they're informative, but sometimes they can be a little bit boring in my opinion. But anyway, I started to love him when I read Twelfth Night at the end of high school. I think maybe right before or right after graduation. Sorry, I'm having to move my foot because it's asleep. But yeah, I read Twelfth Night and I really, really loved it. And then I read Winter's Tale. I actually read that one because it was featured in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2, and that was the only reason I picked it up, but I'm so glad I did because I loved it. And I have read Much Ado About Nothing and Midsummer Night's Dream, and I'm on this one now. And I've seen the 1930s movie of this, and it's fantastic. The 2006 one is good as well, but the 30s one is amazing, and I highly recommend it. And I think his writing is beautiful. I think his characters are really amazing, and I think his wit, I think he has the best wit of anyone ever. Shakespearean insults are like the best. They're so cool. If you want to insult someone, insult them Shakespeare style. Yeah. And I guess that's really all I have to say about him. I just think his characters are amazing. I think his writing is beautiful. Again, his wit is just fantastic. And yeah, those are my favorite authors. If you guys love these people, let me know. If you guys love other authors, let me know what authors you love down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.